I never imagined that building a simple wooden footbridge would unravel a multi-million-dollar corruption scheme involving crooked developers, shady politicians, and a nosy HOA board. All I wanted was an easier way to reach my sister's homey and isolated lakefront island where she was battling cancer. But standing up to the HOA turned into something much bigger than I could have ever expected. It started one humid July afternoon while I was trimming the rosemary in my garden. A bright yellow envelope stood out in the mailbox like a warning sign. I opened it with trembling hands and read the bold, unforgiving words, "Unauthorized structure must be removed within 30 days." They were talking about the bridge. The one I built with my own hands last summer, sturdy, discreet, and designed specifically to help my sister, Rachel, during her chemo treatments. Her island home on Lake Wrenwood was a 45-minute drive from my house if I went around the lake. With the bridge, it was just a 3-minute walk. She needed me nearby in the bad days, the in-between days, all of them. And now the HOA wanted it gone. I tried calling the HOA office immediately, but of course, no one picked up. The board president, Marian Gates, only worked when it suited her. I knew I'd have to face her directly at the next morning's board meeting. Sleep didn't come easily that night. I kept replaying worst-case scenarios in my mind. How would I get Rachel her meds? How would I get there in time if she had an emergency? The bridge was more than a shortcut, it was her lifeline. The community center buzzed with low chatter as I walked in the next morning. About 20 neighbors sat in stiff rows while 5 board members loomed at the front table like they were royalty. Marian sat in the middle, her silver hair in a razor-sharp bob and those little half-glasses perched on the end of her nose. She didn't even glance up from her agenda when she said, "Next item, enforcement actions for unapproved structures." "I'd like to discuss the violation notice about my bridge," I said, raising my hand. Her eyes narrowed. "Claire Matthews, 79 Forest Glen. Correct." "Yes. We've documented your unpermitted construction. It violates 3 separate covenants." "But it's on my private property," I said, standing up. "And it connects to my sister's island, which isn't even in the HOA jurisdiction." "The shoreline is under our purview," she replied coldly. "You failed to submit proper plans for approval." "My sister is fighting stage 3 breast cancer," I said, my voice catching. "That bridge is how I get her to treatments, bring her groceries." "Personal circumstances don't exempt anyone from the rules," Marian interrupted sharply. "The board's decision is unanimous." From the corner, Tom Granger, my next-door neighbor and resident busybody, nodded smugly. He'd been a thorn in my side since the day he moved in complaining about my bird feeder, my wind chimes, and now, apparently, my bridge. Yet his massive RV blocking his driveway never drew a single citation. "I'll appeal," I said, firm and steady. "You're welcome to try," Marian said with a fake smile. "But construction must stop immediately. Removal begins next week." As the meeting ended, a neighbor brushed my arm. "This happened to me too," she whispered. She was young, maybe late 20s. "They made me take down my kid's swing set. Said it was too visible from the lake." "How are they getting away with this?" I asked. "Marian's husband golfs with County Commissioner Rayburn," she said, glancing around. "Half the board works for Wrenwood Lakes Development. They run this whole place." As I walked home, I saw Tom Granger standing on his deck, snapping photos of my house with a telephoto lens. He didn't even try to hide it, just smirked and waved when he caught my eye. Later that afternoon, I called Rachel. "The HOA wants the bridge gone." "What?" "Why?" She sounded weaker than usual. "They're saying I didn't have the right permits. But I checked before building gets private land. And the county told me I didn't need anything." "This isn't right," she said softly. "I'll fight it," I promised. "In the meantime, I'll use the kayak to get your groceries. Even in the winter." "That's not safe," she protested. "Maybe I should sell and move closer to you." "Don't you dare," I said firmly. "That island's been in our family for 3 generations. Mom and Dad left it to you because they knew how much you loved it. We'll figure this out." After we hung up, I spread out my property maps and the HOA bylaws across my kitchen table. There had to be a loophole. After 3 hours of squinting through fine print, I found it. The HOA only had jurisdiction over structures visible from community property. If I could prove the bridge wasn't visible from any common areas, they couldn't legally force its removal. I grabbed my camera and headed outside. snapping photos from every possible angle. The bridge was hidden from the dock, invisible from the road, practically buried in the tree line from the water. Just as I finished, my phone rang. "Ms. Matthews," said an unfamiliar voice. "This is Joel Carter from Wrenwood Lakes Development. I understand you're having a bit of trouble with the HOA. Maybe I can help." My stomach turned. "How did you get this number?" "Small town," he said, chuckling. "We're very interested in acquiring waterfront properties in your area. If you're open to selling, we could make this little bridge problem disappear." "I'm not selling," I said flatly. "You might want to reconsider," he said smoothly. "We'd offer well above market value. Enough for you and your sister to relocate somewhere easier." I hung up without answering and immediately called Rachel. "Did someone from Wrenwood Lakes call you?" "Yes," she said, alarmed. "How did you know?" "He offered to cover my medical bills if I sold." "Something's not right here." That night, I did a deep dive on Wrenwood Lakes. They'd been quietly buying up lakefront properties across the region, turning neighborhoods into upscale condos. One of their recent projects had stalled because of a single holdout owner just like Rachel. The next morning, a construction crew showed up at my house. A tall man in a hard hat stepped out. "Claire Matthews." "Yes. We're here to start removal of the unauthorized structure." "You can't," I said. I filed an appeal. "The HOA can't do anything until it's been reviewed." He shrugged. "Orders came from the board president. Take it up with her." "I'm not moving," I said, stepping onto the bridge. "This is private property." The workers looked uneasy. The foreman made a call and returned looking annoyed. "We'll postpone. For now. But we'll be back. With the sheriff if necessary." I didn't wait. I drove straight to the county records office. I needed to know what kind of legal tricks they were pulling. The clerk scanned my deed, then frowned. "This is strange," she said. "There's a pending petition to redraw the shoreline boundaries. Filed 3 months ago by Wrenwood Lakes Development." My blood ran cold. "What would that mean?" I asked. "If approved, the new boundary would place all shoreline construction under county jurisdiction. You'd need permits from the Zoning Commission. Chaired by Commissioner Rayburn." I finished. The next few days were a blur of whispered meetings and phone calls. More neighbors came forward. A young couple fined for painting their porch the wrong shade of blue. An elderly woman written up for growing non-approved plants. A retired veteran forced to remove his dock. Then came James Holloway, a former HOA treasurer. He resigned after discovering payments to fake companies. I reported it to a county investigator, he said, and the next day my house was broken into. They didn't steal anything. Just scattered my financial records. The message was clear. So we decided to fight back. Not just for the bridge but for all of us. Late one night, I slipped out to document the bridge's condition. I needed proof in case they came in the dark. I was halfway across the bridge when a twig snapped behind me. "Who's there?" I called. No answer, but I saw a shadow dart through the trees. I called the police. Officer Barnes came out looking bored. "Probably just a raccoon," he said. "This isn't the first time someone's been watching my house," I insisted. "Got any proof?" I didn't, but I would. The next morning, 3 trucks from Lakeshore Construction pulled into my driveway. Marion climbed out of her Mercedes, clipboard in hand. "Ms. Matthews," she called sweetly. "Have you reconsidered?" I filed an appeal. "You can't legally touch the bridge. The board had an emergency meeting last night." "Appeal denied." "You didn't notify me." "That's against the bylaws." "Rules are rules," she said. "I have a court order," I lied. "Any attempt to remove the bridge before the hearing next week will result in contempt charges." Marion's smile faded. "Show me." "My attorney has it." She hesitated. The foreman looked nervous. "If there's legal stuff involved, we should wait," he said. "You have until Monday," Marion snapped. "Then it comes down." It bought me time. That afternoon, James met me at a quiet cafe with a folder full of evidence-altered meeting minutes, ghost consulting firms, under-the-table payments. "They're not just building homes," he said. "The resort they're planning? It's a front. Phase 2 includes a private entertainment venue casino. Likely. Senator Collins introduced legislation creating a loophole. And the CEO of Wrenwood? Big donor." My bridge wasn't the issue. My sister's island was the crown jewel of their plan. They needed her land. And we weren't selling. But they weren't taking no for an answer. Due to character limits, the rest of the story continues in the next message. Continuation. I kayaked to Rachel's island that night in the pouring rain, determined to warn her in person. Halfway across, I spotted headlights passing by my home. That familiar black SUV again. Inside her cozy cottage, I explained everything about the resort, the shell companies, the fake violations. They keep offering more money, Rachel admitted. Last week, they brought up my medical bills like they knew the exact number. They do, I said. They've been watching us. We agreed to take the story public media, lawsuits, the works. But by the time I paddled back, they'd already struck. Wooden planks floated in the water. My bridge had been partially dismantled. I called 911 and waited in the dark, watching as 3 figures worked under flashlight beams. One of them was Tom Granger. By the time the police arrived, the trespassers had vanished. Officer Barnes shrugged. HOA says you signed off on it. They forged my signature, I said. Serious accusation, he replied. You got proof? No. Not yet. That night, someone broke into my house. Nothing was taken, but on my coffee table was a business card from Wrenwood Lakes. Handwritten on the back, final offer $750,000 for your lot, $1.2 million for the island. Expires tomorrow. They'd been inside. I called James. You need to leave, he said. Now. I'm not running. If you stay, they'll come harder. As if on cue, the power in my house went out. Only mine. The rest of the street stayed lit. A text buzzed in, last chance. Things get complicated after tonight. I fled into the night, flashlight in one hand, documents in the other. I wasn't giving up. I went to Sophia's. Together, we were going to build a case stronger than any bridge. The next day brought a surprise. 2 FBI agents knocked on my door. Claire Matthews, one asked. I'm Agent Ramirez. This is Agent Collins. We're investigating the Wrenwood HOA. My heart stopped. Are you arresting me? No, Collins said. Your complaint about the bridge helped us access records we couldn't before. But we believe Marion was tipped off about our investigation this morning. My blood ran cold. My sister is alone. We've dispatched agents, Ramirez said. But I was already grabbing my coat. They insisted on driving me to the marina, where we discovered my boat's fuel line had been cut. Sabotage? I'm not waiting, I said, untying a neighbor's kayak. Claire, it's too dangerous, Ramirez called. But I was already paddling into the storm. The waves battered me as I pushed forward, soaked and shaking. On Rachel's dock, 2 black SUVs were parked ominously. Inside, I saw silhouettes moving. I crept around back, peering through the window. A man in a gray suit stood over Rachel, holding a stack of papers. The center in Switzerland is world-class, he said smoothly. Just sign. We'll cover everything. I'm not selling, Rachel replied, voice trembling. You can't afford not to, Tom Granger chimed in. I picked up a heavy flower pot and hurled it through the window. The crash silenced the room. I'm right here, I said, stepping inside, cut and bleeding. And I know exactly what you're doing. Granger turned, his face twisted in rage. You should have stayed out of this. Step away from her, I said, grabbing a kitchen knife. The suited man recovered quickly. I'm Richard Flynn, Wrenwood's Chief Development Officer. We're offering a generous package. After destroying her bridge and isolating her during cancer treatment, you're predators. You have no proof. I've got recordings, I bluffed, and copies of financial records. Touch us and they go public. Granger advanced toward me. You don't know who you're dealing with. No, I said. But the FBI does. Blue and red lights flashed outside. A voice on a bullhorn, this is the FBI. Come out with your hands up. Granger went pale. Flynn dropped the contract. You led them here, Granger growled. No, I said. You did. With your greed. Days later, the news aired footage of Marion Gates in handcuffs. Her home raided. Senator Collins, too. Agent Ramirez called me in. You gave us the missing piece. Thank you. He showed me a photo of Marion, her husband, and Commissioner Rayburn at a private lunch with Flynn. Over $4 million had flowed through shell companies. Derek Watson, the man who initiated many violations, was a disbarred real estate attorney. But the case wasn't over. Karen's husband filed a countersuit, claiming emotional distress. They were coming after my land now. We couldn't take much more. Rachel's health was failing. The stress was killing her. One night, I spotted movement on Rachel's porch. I raced across the lake. Inside, I found drawers open, files scattered, and Marcus Johnson standing there, holding a flash drive. Rachel called me, he said. She remembered something. The video he found was explosive. A hidden camera clip of Senator Collins and Flynn discussing forged reports, fake environmental studies, and how to force the island's sale. It was the final nail in the coffin. More charges. More arrests. More convictions. Rachel's island was placed in a conservation trust. The HOA was dismantled and rebuilt from scratch. Marcus and Mrs. Abernathy, our elderly neighbor, took over. She'd kept handwritten notes from every HOA meeting for 12 years. Her records gave prosecutors the timeline they needed. 6 months later, on a sunny spring day, we gathered to celebrate not just Rachel's remission, but the completion of a new bridge built stronger and wider, funded by settlement money. Rachel wheeled herself to the center of it. "No ribbon," she said with a smile. "This bridge isn't just mine and Claire's anymore. It's for everyone." Kids ran across it. Neighbors swapped seeds and stories. Rachel's island was safe forever. "You know what I learned from all this?" Rachel asked as we walked arm in arm. "Sometimes, what they try hardest to take from you becomes the thing that saves you." Looking out over the lake, I saw a young couple picnicking near the water, the new owners of Tom Granger's house. Their laughter echoed in the breeze. "Do you ever regret standing up to them?" Marcus asked, joining us. I looked at the bridge, at my sister, at the new world we'd helped create. "Not for a single moment," I said. And I meant every word.